Father Alexander, Reverend Fathers, and my dear brothers. I'm very thankful to have been born into a beautiful family, the second oldest of 4 boys, with also a wonderful extended family on both sides that pretty much raised me. Throughout my life, I had these people that I would see once a month or so that really rooted me in my identity as a beloved son, as a nephew, as a cousin. So when I was going through all of life's changes, I could go back to them and say, yes, this is who I am. Very thankful for my family growing up. And then also, growing up in a small town in Nebraska, I got the public school version of the virtues. So those cheesy signs that you see around the weight room and the gyms, like virtue, integrity, character, all these things. I really bought into that in high school and in junior high, and the Lord blessed that formation in that little realm that I grew up in and claimed it as his own coming to SJV. So I really marvel with a lot of thanksgiving when I look back at my childhood and my upbringing, at all the different sources that the Lord drew on to form me into the man that I have become, and a lot of hidden and mysterious ways that he's claimed as his own. Going into high school, I started telling people that I wanted to be a civil engineer because you have to have an answer when they start asking you that question, and I like science and math. Getting a little bit older, I started having a change of heart where I realized if I'm going to pour the rest of my life into one career, countless hours, I want it to be something that really matters. I want to help people. And there's no better way to help people than with the scope of eternity. So I thought I could be a high school math teacher. I could help kids. I could be a witness to them in the classroom, just be a goofball with them and show them the joy of the Christian life. And around that time, the beginning of sophomore year, I started dating this girl that was a huge blessing. This relationship changed my life. We were friends first, always. And up until that point, I had never had a real Catholic friend to share the faith with. So this friendship, this relationship was one that blessed me tremendously because I finally had someone to share the faith with, to walk with, and the whole time remain completely open to the Lord and whatever he wanted for me. So going through junior year and senior year, I tried to be very intentional about discerning the Lord's will for me, trying to remain open, whatever open means. So I clearly had my preferences, but I told the Lord I would be open. And so I read To Save 1,000 Souls, great book. Started meeting with my pastor monthly, and I didn't really think I was discerning necessarily. It kind of just felt like a formality, just like, yes, I should do this. I never really thought it was going to lead me here, to be honest, but I did due diligence, and praise God. Very thankful for the people around me and the resources that prompted me to do that. And I had lots of desires and signs leading me both ways, to marriage and to seminary. And finally, March of senior year, it got to a point where I just had to do something. Had to call the vocations director. Had never talked to him before, Father Rosa, God bless him. And then over a 2-hour phone call, he had my whole life story and all the drama of what was going on. And he gave me some priceless advice that I'll never forget. He said, "Brian, you're a good man. You clearly have a question on your heart, a question of whether or not you're called to the priesthood. You can either continue on the path that you're on, dating and go to college, and you might still have that question 2 years down the road. And it's going to be a lot harder to choose to leave that at that point than it would be to go right out of high school, discern intentionally. And if you're called to be a priest, praise God. If you're not, praise God, you can pursue marriage full throttle without hesitation." And that made a lot of sense. And with a lot of prayer, I finally came to the decision, kind of. I got up the nerve to go and talk to the girl. And when we were there, at finally arriving at decision time, there was like a half of second moment, a pause, where the Lord pulled me out of myself. It wasn't anything dramatic. It was just like everything froze for a moment. And it wasn't a flash, a bang, or a boom. It was just the impression of words on my mind saying that this is good. This path, this relationship, this is good. And for whatever reason, in the Lord's particular love for me, he knew that the only thing that I would notice about him saying that this is good is that I noticed that the word very was missing. At the same time, the Lord affirmed all that he had given me, but he invited me to seek something very good, something that was not just good, but very good. And I knew where that path would lead me, and I chose. And the following summer was just crazy up and down difficulties, but the Lord meeting me with unbelievable consolation and love, always affirmed me as his son. And coming here to SJV, I've become more myself than I've ever been, but also radically different. More myself, but totally changed, a new man. Always leaning into simple conversational prayer, just like I grew up with. Doing all things with the Lord. He's become my best friend. Somewhat naively, I always used to think of myself as a married man turned priest by all of the prayers for vocations that they pray at the end of Mass. And then this year I've really discovered through prayer that the Lord has formed a priestly heart in me, that he's taken extravagant means through Our Lady and all the saints to protect that priestly heart. And for that, and for all of you, my brothers, I say, praise be Jesus Christ.
Now and forever.